Gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Now, we're starting a little different today. We're starting off with the music. A little bit of Eye of the Tiger from Survivor, right? I want to set the tone early. You already know, we're all about being dangerous. We're all about taking chances and taking risks. Calculated, of course. But this is episode 11. And I feel like since we crossed that milestone of episode 10, I did not take a break. I'm back in it the very next day after doing 2 days straight of doing 3 episodes in a row. But I get inspired by daily life, by conversations, by experiences, by simply hearing a word or a phrase or a sentence. So this is where we are. I do not have a show title worked out as I am speaking to you. It usually comes later, after all of my thoughts are formed. Because, I think about stuff as I talk, which is why some of my words may be slurred or I may stumble a little bit. But I want you to know this is not scripted. These are not written out. Maybe in the future I'll do that, but this is raw, passionate, from the soul, from the gut level of life experience and just daily living. And just wanting to have conversations that are meaningful. I'm not one to talk much if I don't have anything to say. Or I don't talk about subjects that I have no knowledge in. Now, stuff that I don't know about, but I'm interested in, I'll be happy to do a little research and give you what I got. But we're starting off with Survivor and the song Eye of the Tiger because I want us to start to develop that twinkle. I'm pretty sure everybody's known a guy who's a little off his rocker. Maybe even a lady. Could be your wife. No disrespect. But everybody's known that one person that's a little off. Maybe not in a bad way, but they're up for a challenge. They're up for anything. And one word could set them off. One encounter could set them off. It could be the littlest things. But you know this person well enough that if you're in a situation and something goes down and you look at them and they've got that weird little smirk and their eyes squint a little bit, or maybe they bulge out, whatever the case, but that's the eye of the tiger, right? And oh man, they're about to do something that could potentially land us in jail or in a boatload of fun. Depends on how you slice it. Depends on the person. Depends on the situation. But you know what I mean. Now, when I talk about in trouble or in a boatload of fun in this instant, I'm talking about having a spice for life, right? I'm talking about us remembering where we came from. Maybe humble beginnings. You could be silver spoon fed. You could be privileged. Whatever the case, you earned everything you got. Because if you're a trust fund baby, daddy may give you a little something and you turned that and you flipped it and made something of yourself. Or if you're like me and you started with next to nothing, you learn to scrape your way up and save a little bit and invest a little bit. I hope you're investing in yourself, but you've learned over time what works and what doesn't work for you, what works and what doesn't work for you, and you came out on top. You made something out of nothing, as we say in the street. I'm not in the street anymore, but as they say in the street, you started from the mud, right? You started from the bottom. Yeah, that was Canada's own Aubrey Graham, aka Drizzy Drake, was started from the bottom. When that song came out, I was in a bad relationship. All seriousness, I was in a bad relationship, but I remember I had a fairly new car. I started a new job. I was in a good place in life. I was starting to come up, and I remember I would blast that song. I had a long ride home, and I would blast that song on my way to work, on my way home from work, and that was like my theme music. That and a couple other songs, but it did something. It was encouraging. And, some of the words in between the chorus was, but the chorus, the hook. That's what draws you in, right? That's what the song is all about. And I indeed started from the bottom. Like I mentioned before in another show, excuse me, I've been working since I was 10. I got my first job at a bar. Yes, gentlemen, at a bar. A real life bar where they served alcohol to alcoholics and social drinkers. This bar was right across the street from my house. My aunt had a relationship with the manager. I thought he was the owner back in the day, but he was the manager, and he was always fly. He always dressed nice, kind of the way I dress now. Kind of like how my father dressed. Fedora, nice slacks, nice shirt, always smelled good, was always cool, had some gold chains on. He probably was an ex-hustler, I don't know, but he was a cool guy. He was very nice to me. And my aunt only dealt with guys that had money and, were of a certain persuasion, if you will. Either they were street guys or they had street smarts. But I never remember seeing her around squares. But this guy, I always saw him. He was like, he was admirable, right? He wasn't standing on the corner like the other role models I had. Now, my father's my ultimate role model. He was a working man. He was by all means what some would consider a square, but he wasn't a punk. He stood up for his family, stood up for himself. He could walk in any room and command respect. That's the man that I'm trying to be. That's the man that I am. I'm going to speak positive, right? Because I don't doubt myself. But we're all trying to live up to our father's image, good or bad, right? You're either trying to break the cycle or you're trying to be like he was or go beyond that. But I digress. So I remember seeing this guy, and I remember always wanting to work. I remember always having a hustle, having an idea to get some money. So I approached him one day. I said, hey, can I have a job? And after saying it so many times and him laughing it off, I would get discouraged. But I just kept chipping away. And one day I asked him, I was like, yo, can I have a job or not? He was like, boy, you can't work in a bar? I was like, look, I need some money. And he was like, what are you going to do at the bar? He's like, you can't come behind the bar. I was like, I don't know, wash dishes, sweep the floor, take out trash, anything. I just need some money. I want a job. And he basically said no. And I said, look, and I pointed. Because this bar was caddy corner from my house. I said, look, you see those guys on the corner? Because there was always somebody on the corner, right? I said, either you give me a job or I'm going to go ask them the same question. And they are going to hire me. And he said, all right, man, when can you start? So I think it was because he was a friend of the family and he knew how serious I was and how determined I was. And he knew the background of some of my family members. They were truly dangerous gentlemen. He said, when can you start? And I was like, yesterday. He was like, all right, come by tomorrow after school. So I would go by after school, drop my book bag off, use the bathroom, maybe get a snack, run right back out. And he would say, all right, get these cups, take them to the back, put them in the sink, do this, do that, take out the trash, wipe down the table or two. This is where the rags are. So I had a job. I had my first job. And he would pay me like $10 a day under the table. Now, if you do the math, $10 a day, 5 days a week, that's $50. That's a lot of money when you're a 10-year-old. And the money was good. It was steady. And then I wouldn't notice. I started to notice after about a month or two that I would see the same people stumble into the bar in the morning or waiting outside of the bar as I was on my way to school. And when I would come home, those guys would still be in the bar. Some just leaving out, some still nursing their drink as I was starting my shift. Now, mind you, the shift was only about an hour and a half. And I started to think, this is no place for a kid. I thought about it in hindsight. This is no place for a kid. So I kindly said, hey, you know what? I don't think I could do this anymore. He wasn't upset. I think he knew that I needed to see things for myself. And I got some money. I didn't have a quota, but I just wanted some money. I wanted to be able to buy something for myself. Because, it's freedom in that, right? A man making his own money, it does something for your self-esteem. And it definitely did something for mine. It let me know that, hey, as they say, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. I can go out here and can create opportunities from what I see in my surroundings, good or bad. And as I got older, I did go toward the side of bad. If you heard one of the other episodes, you know what I'm talking about. I won't go back into that story. But I had that money, and I spent a little here, a little there, and that money lasted me through high school. Well, up until high school, but I was able to get certain things. Now, I didn't go out and spend it all on clothes or blow it like a normal child would, but I had a nice little stash of money. And I think it's because I just didn't care, right? Like, I was willing to not be a statistic. And I didn't even know what that word was then, but I just didn't want to be that kid that was sitting around begging for ice cream truck money, and I rarely spent it on the ice cream truck. I didn't even really eat candy as a kid. I don't know exactly what I did with it, but I know I had money for so long that if I wanted to get something small, I could get it. But I couldn't let my parents know because they had no idea I was working at a bar. Actually, true story, my mom found out about it Christmas Eve, or we had Christmas dinner. So it could have been Christmas Day, but 2019. And I said something about working at a bar. And she was like, when did you work at a bar? And I was like, I was 10. And she's like, what bar? And I told her. And she was like, where was I at? I was like, Ma, you were at work. I was a latchkey kid. I was like, Ma, you were at work. I said, by the time you and Dad got home, I was back in the house. My homework was done. I had sobered up. She was like, sobered up? I said, Ma, I worked at a bar. You didn't think I was taking a drink? Yeah, I was drinking at 10 years old. So I'm definitely cut from an old cloth, man. Like, back in the day when they would talk about kids smoking cigarettes at 11, 12 years old and having jobs. And yeah, I was that kid. I'm not even going to lie about it. There's no shame in it. But, it comes a point where whether you're a child, teenager, young adult, middle-aged adult, older, in your golden years, you have to develop the mindset that you're going to do whatever it takes and nothing is going to stop you. You are going to become unstoppable. All right, that was Unstoppable by Sia. Also, remember, if you're listening to this on YouTube or any of the platforms where you can't hear the music, you gotta go to Spotify. Spotify plays the music for the episodes, sets the tone, sets the mood, balances out the talks. I mean, you don't have to go, but it's just a fuller show. It's a fuller experience if you're on Spotify. They're not paying me to say this. I just, it is what it is. But anyway, back to the talk. So we're talking about being unstoppable. We're talking about motivating ourselves and pulling ourselves up from our bootstraps and being unstoppable and utilizing that eye of the tiger, being tenacious, tenacity. I love that word. But it's something that if it's not innate in you, you have to create it in you. And I guess for me, growing up under certain circumstances, being in certain environments at a young age, I saw too much as a kid. Being honest, I mean, there's stuff that I saw growing up that I would never want my sons to encounter. But it made me who I am. We were just a tougher generation, honestly. There were shootouts every summer. Times where you had to, you hear the gunshots, you just go in the house. And times where you hear the gunshots and you hear which way they're coming from, and you just kind of lay low for a minute. You don't even go inside. Like it's like living in a war zone as a child. You hear about those kids in those war-torn countries. The U.S. is one of those countries. There are wars happening all over this place. It may not be with huge militaristic fashion, but you got the little street corner guys and some of the dudes that are out here breaking the law, that are at odds with other people that are breaking the law, and conflicts arise. That's just the way it is. And you have to learn to circumvent certain traps, because it's not easy. And one or two things can happen. It can go in one or two directions. You either become a victim of circumstance and you become like the people who are, I guess, the villains, right? Or you develop in your mind the idea that I know what I'm seeing isn't normal. I know it's not right. It may take you a while to get there. I know it's not right. And I want to be different. I want to do something different. I want to experience something different. I want to live differently. And it's up to you to figure out how to get from A to Z. But sometimes you're in your own way, right? And you got to figure out how to move past that. And if you don't have guidance, if you don't have a mentor or a teacher or a pillar to look up to stand beside, to maybe hold the ceiling up for you and show you what you can reach and what you can attain, you may become a victim of circumstance. I mean, I'm blessed that I had a father. I say it all the time, which is why I am the nuclear dad. My father was a nuclear dad. He showed me what it was to be like this. And he's from, pretty much same circumstances as me. He wasn't silver spoon fed. His parents were from the country, as we say. Northern born, but with southern roots, just like me. Like a lot of, black men in America. And it's not always easy expressing this stuff. And I know that people are listening may not be from my same ethnic background, but I know there are similarities, right? Like I talk to men who aren't even from this country. They're first generation American. And they know stories of living in a country where they didn't even have running water. So I have no room to complain. And these men still have first-hand accounts and memories where they lived in two worlds and they remember what it was like. They remember having to walk a couple miles to a well to get some water. Coming over to America in middle school or high school or college and knowing that the only thing they could do to change their circumstances is get an education. And some didn't get an education. Some took advantage of the small business benefits this country has to offer, and they opened a business. But whatever the case, they figured out what the situation was, and they figured out what they could do, what was in their immediate grasp, and they grabbed it, and they ran with it. But a lot of us are familiar with that hard knock life. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we are back. And that was Hard Knock Life by Jay-Z. It's called the Ghetto Anthem, right? In one of his songs, he said, I went from O's to opposite Orphan Annie. Now, O's, for those who are not familiar with street vernacular, is an abbreviation for ounces. Ounces meaning weight, the weight of drugs. In his case, cocaine. In my case, the devil's lettuce. But whatever. We all did a couple of things in our life that we may not have been proud for. Hey, I know dudes that sell blood. I know dudes that strip. You do what you got to do. Honestly, I'm not stripping. I'm not Magic Mike. I'm the man on the mic. Feel me? I'm the guy that's in your ear right now, trying to help you get through whatever it is you're getting through. Letting you know, like, dude, you're not alone. You could be in a storm right now. But the thing about storms, particularly hurricanes, the calmest place is in the center. So the world could be going to crap all around you, but you are figuring out how to be totally, I don't want to say zen, but totally zen, right? If you haven't figured it out already, you're figuring out how to be okay with being in the storm. Because while you're in it, you're going to learn ways to get out of it. And it may not be overnight, but I need you to stick with it. because I know mental health is real, depression is real, anxiety is real. I went through all of those things. Sometimes I still have bouts with anxiety. I still have issues that gets my heart racing and I can't think straight. You feel trapped inside your body. I am by no means perfect. None of us are. But as men, we gotta toughen up, right? We gotta be strong and stern, and we can't express feelings. Now, I had a situation today. I realized that I like to go back and listen to the episodes on YouTube after I upload them, and I uploaded, well, all 3 that I did yesterday I uploaded, but 2 of them were uploaded at like 5 in the morning, and I was running on very little sleep. So I got a chance to listen to it today in the evening, and I realized, the order of the audio segments of me talking is wrong. So I had to go in and redo it. So I came into my danger room and fired up the computer and loaded up the platform, and my wife calls me. So backstory, she works nights. She worked last night. Today we had a party for our sons. So she got like an hour of sleep since 48 hours ago. So we come home and I take the boys to the park so she can go crash, right? Because I'm tired too, but I had 2 espressos, so I'm good. Now she's really tired. So I take the boys out. I let them run some of that energy off, the cake and the candy and the juice, the sugar. So we get back home. I put together some of the toys that they got from, their wonderful friends who bought presents. It was really appreciated. So the boys are playing. I figure I could sneak off real quick and just fire up the laptop and get everything loaded, so when they go to sleep, I can come down and make the correct edits. So there's yelling, and of course, it disturbs my wife's sleep. She calls me. She's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm in the basement, but I'll be up in a second." So I go up. It's my older son, 5-year-old. I love him. He's a sensitive boy. Nothing against that. So I said, "What happened?" He's screaming like somebody's trying to kill him. And he says his older sister hurt his feelings. I automatically go into alpha dad mode. Now, what I said probably wasn't the best thing, but I said, if I hear you screaming about somebody hurting your feelings again, I'm going to pop you in the lips. And it was bedtime, of course. They were tired. They were crashing from the sugar. Nobody got a nap today. They were up early, and it was way after their bedtime, but I let them stay up because I know if they crash, they're going to sleep soundly through the night. And it's time for me to give them baths. And I said, "Listen, buddy, I'm not going to pop you in the lips." I said, "But how old are you?" And he says, "I'm 5. And I talk to him like he's a man, even though I know he's a boy, because I know I'm not going to be here forever. And I understand that up until the age 7, the brain operates in theta mode. It's like hardware for a computer. It's like programming your hardware. So whatever I teach him up until the age 7 is going to be what he retains for the rest of his life." And I said, "Listen, if you ain't bleeding, there's no need to be screaming." I said, "It's okay to get upset if somebody hurts your feelings. It's okay to get angry. It's okay to not feel okay if you get your feelings hurt. But don't you ever let me catch you crying because you got your feelings hurt." Now, take this with a grain of salt. He wasn't belittled. He wasn't emotionally or verbally abused. He couldn't get a toy. Now, it's from his party. Toy I said he couldn't open. But he was screaming bloody murder because his feelings got hurt. And I know as he grows, he is going to be emotionally sensitive. But I'm teaching him now that it's okay to have emotion. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to feel your feelings. But we are going to, and I'll elaborate this as he grows, we are going to have to find constructive ways for you to deal with your hurt feelings as opposed to having an outburst. And this is what I'm saying to you men listening. We all go through stuff. We're going through stuff. We will continue to go through things. But as you go through things, you have to grow through things. So don't have an outburst if you can help it. I mean, there was a movie with Michael Douglas back in the day. I think it was called Walking Tall or Standing Tall. But this dude just had a terribly bad day. And he snapped. I'm going to type it up real quick. Walking Tall Douglas. Let's see if this is it. No, that's not it. That's The Rock. Well, I don't remember the name of that movie. Falling Down. It was Falling Down. Yeah. 1993. Let's go to IMDb real quick. Because this is a good movie to watch. Just for the sake of this conversation. An ordinary man, frustrated with the various flaws he sees in society, begins to psychotically and violently lash out against them. He's a dude that couldn't take it anymore. And he had an outburst, a very violent outburst. Like the thumbnail, I guess the movie poster, is him with a briefcase and a rifle. Or maybe a shotgun. It's pretty small. And then a little trailer, which I'm not going to play for copyright reasons, is a picture of him standing with his shirt and his tie. It looks like a pocket protector. And a baseball bat. But I understand, dudes. We deal with a lot. And I don't think people get it. But we are going to find a way to power through it. Because we don't give up. We're in the process of becoming kings. We're in the process of becoming royalty. And in that process, in dealing with it and learning to cope and learning to positively express your frustrations and constructively express your frustrations, while all of that's going on, you still got to figure out how to live your life. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was Live Your Life by T.I. and Rihanna. When that song came out, it did something wonderful for my self-esteem. It made me realize that everything that I'm going through, I'm growing through. Like I just said in the previous segment. It's also a time where I was in a bad relationship. True. My whole 20s, bad relationships. And honestly, it was primarily one relationship that lasted 8 years. But it was like a new relationship every couple of years because we would break up and get back together. Usually, either I wasn't doing something that she thought I should be doing, or I was doing too much of what she didn't want me to do. I mean, basically, it was always me. And that's always the case, right? And if you remember the last episode, I was simping. You know, I tell the truth, I was simping. But I was trying to be the nice guy. I was trying to, I was compartmentalizing, and it wasn't fair to her because I wasn't being my full self, right? Like, I was on the heels of being a rapper, So that was still fresh in my mind, and I was trying not to be the person that I was before her and I got together. I was still young. I was still developing. They say that the adult brain isn't fully developed until you were 25. I got with this person when I was 22. So a couple years into it, I was becoming somebody else, growing into me. And I didn't necessarily like where I was, but I just figured, what I got to lose? Like, I'm working, and I'm getting her to do these things to me that I like physically, and that's usually what keeps us around, right? Physical things. But like I said, I'm a serial monogamist, so I wasn't in the mental space to go out and have a bunch of girls and telling this when I love them and telling that when I love them, and it's too much work. One woman is enough of a headache sometimes. So that wasn't my thing. But in the process of these makeups and breakups, you always question yourself, right? You always wonder, like, am I doing something wrong? And that's classic narcissistic traits. People screw up, then blame you and play the victim. And it puts you in a weird space because you're like, well, what? I think I'm doing everything right. And like I said, I was simping. So I thought that I was doing everything right according to what women say that women want. But when you do that, when you conform to those patterns, it's never enough. You're never good enough. You're never tall enough. You're never buff enough or slim enough. You never make enough. It's never enough. But when you are firm in who you are as a man, it's always enough. It's a turn on for women. When you start to develop that code that we're going to get into a little further on down the line, I'm working on some things. But when you develop that man code, man, women love it. Because they know that you are uncompromisingly masculine. You ain't simping. And I'm talking about husbands and wives. If you're already married, listen, wife's going to have to understand, baby, I'm going through some changes. I'm becoming a different man. I'm becoming the me that I always should have been. And you're going to have to communicate with her throughout this process. Because the last thing you want is for her to be left in the dark. And then you show up as this new person that she has no idea of who you are and where you came from. And she may not like the new you because you haven't been expressing to her throughout the journey that I'm metamorphosizing. I'm becoming a butterfly. You're in a chrysalis right now. I was just they have a bug museum in Philly, and I was there today. So I'm not going to say I just learned the word chrysalis, but it's fresh in my mind. If you don't know what a chrysalis is, that is the pod that caterpillars go in before they become the butterflies, the cocoon. But the proper term is a chrysalis. But you're in this chrysalis right now, and you are becoming this new you. You are becoming a greater version of you, a more improved version of you, the super you, if you will, the you 2.0, 2.0 you, 3.0 you, because maybe you went through a change before. But I think every man should, every couple of years, reinvent himself, whether it's your look, whether it's your haircut. If you've never been bald, go bald. Women love bald men. Your wife may be like, I hate bald heads, but when she sees how other women look at you being bald, she'll change her mind. She'll turn that act right around. You don't have to go bald, but don't be like these kids. Don't dye your hair purple. Don't walk outside with fuchsia hair, pink dreadlocks. Not if you're my age. That ship has sailed. We're past that. But reinvent yourself. Get a new wardrobe, get some new cologne, get some new shoes, get a new watch, learn some new stuff. Just step by step, little by little, become that greater man inside. And at some point, you'll make a way. All right, fellas, that was Make a Way by Aloe Black. You see what I'm doing with the songs and the snippets of the audio of me talking? I'm changing things up a little bit. I'm keeping it fresh. I'm keeping it funky. Now, I don't know if I'll do this for another 10 episode run like the last time, but I want this thing to keep evolving. I want it to get better with every episode, with every season. I don't know how many songs. I don't know how many podcast episodes are going to be in a season. Episode 11 could be the start of season 2. I don't know. I could do 20. I could do 15. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll look and see how they do it on TV. I think it's usually like 10 or 12 or 13. But whatever the case, we are going to make a way, gentlemen. We are going to become those awesome manly dudes that we all know. At least the guys that we know in our head, right? I mean, there's always a dude that you looked up to growing up. Could have been your age, could have been older, could have been a brother, could have been a cool guy from the neighborhood. Like I told you, for me, one of the guys was the dude that owned the bar that gave me my first job. Now, if he never gave me the job, then I probably would have had a disdain for him to this day. Like, oh, he's a sucker. I tried to work. He wouldn't give me a job. Then I had to go do whatever I had to do. But I'm glad that didn't happen. So right now, we're going to get into some data. This is going to be a longer show. So some people may have clicked off already. Some people may have broken it up into sections. If you're still around, kudos for you. So real quick, let's talk about this website is called the adultmale.com. And this is 7 powerful life hacks for men. How to change your life in a moment. So it's pretty long, so I think I'm going to skim. But I'll read the beginning. The old quote goes, life isn't about getting a good hand. You know what comes next? It's about playing well with the hand you have. Maybe you feel like there's not enough time in the day to go after your goals. Working out, crushing it at your job, hitting the dating scene with your wife, staying well read. Each can consume all the waking hours of your day. So how do you find balance? How do you find the right actions to take that will change your life the most and leave the rest behind? We put together 7 of the most important hacks any guy can take advantage of immediately, from money tips to self-care to love and lust. Oh, it sounds like this is written for the fornicators, but we'll spin it for the husbands and the fathers. That's what we do here. We take what the world gives us, those crappy lemons, and we make the best lemonade you've ever tasted. Okay. Life hacks take time. That's what I said. Before we get started, we want to be clear about our definition of a life hack. Sure, there are the quote-unquote biohacks out there, like eating a Brazil nut every day that supposedly do this, that, and the other things for you. Others might recommend boiling a chicken and sitting in a bubbling pot under your covers to get rid of a cold. That's not made up. We heard this one. I never heard it, and I would never do it. Maybe you have learned by now that there are no quick fixes on the path to a more fulfilling life. But that doesn't mean there aren't some easy levers to pull that will make massive changes to your life. And it doesn't mean you can't get started right away. To us, a true life hack takes months, sometimes years, to produce fruit. 7 life hacks for men. Invest your money. I'm not going to read everything this guy says because I got a couple articles, but definitely invest. We'll have shows on investing later on down the line. Pay yourself first. That is important. I say this to my wife all the time. Love her, but her money management could be better. But that's why she has me. So no worries. But pay yourself first. If you've never heard of the, the 70-20-10 rule or something like that, but you definitely want to take a percentage of your money as soon as you get paid and put it away. You never know when emergencies will pop up. Never know when you'll get some good investment advice. Just, not the whole guy told me about a horse. Start with one important thing. You can apply the same pay yourself idea to other ideas in your life. Of course you can. What's your number one goal? Do you want to get shredded, start a business, build a better relationship with your wife? Make that the priority by doing something about it first thing in the morning. Master your mindset. Yep, positivity and happiness aren't emotions, they're skills. Yes, they are. Told you about smiling, faking it till you make it. When you smile, signals and hormones get sent from your heart to your brain, telling yourself that you're happy. Improve how you dress. I just talked about reinventing yourself, getting a new wardrobe. Stand straight and practice power poses. This is true. Slumping shoulders gives your mind the impression that you are upset, or you are depressed, or not happy. The straighter you stand, the more erect you stand, the more powerful you feel. I'm actually going to read what he says. How you stand has a profound impact on the image you project into the world, and it's not just how others see you. Your posture affects your body chemistry. One easy way to boost your confidence is to stand straight and in one of those power poses noted in the video above. You can't see the video. You'll express more confidence to others and you'll feel more of yourself. To stand straight and leave your chest open. When you cross your arms, you send signals of discomfort. You'll notice that the power poses express either relaxation or assertiveness. You may have to practice these poses, and they may feel awkward at first, but soon they'll become natural. Avoid those powerless poses: slumped shoulders, hunched back, crossed arms. These are signs of apathy and fear. There's no reason for you to feel uncomfortable on a daily basis. You're awesome. So puff out your chest and walk proud. Go on a media diet is the last one. This is true. Like I said before in the previous show, the things that we put into our mind affects our inner speech, which affects our outward appearance and our outward projection to the world, which in turn affects our entire life. Great article. TheAdultMale.com. Business Insider talks about 35 hacks for the modern gentleman. And it starts with clothing and style. Roll your shirt sleeves the right way. Pack a suit without getting it wrinkled. Learn the sometimes, always, never rule of jacket buttons. Match your dress shoes and suits. Oh, they got a whole list of what shoes go with what. That's pretty good. Now, this is businessinsider.com. 35 life hacks for men, written in 2015. Google it. When possible, always try to buy full grain leather goods. Invest in quality shoe trees. Yeah, you don't want them things getting wrinkled and little dents, and shoe trees are a good investment. Hang your shoe and dress shirt on cedar wood hangers. Fold your sweaters instead of hanging them. Go sockless without causing a stink. I know they got some tips on that. Use leather soap and oil to preserve your shoes. Let your shoes breathe between wears. Then the grooming hacks. Use a non-soap cleanser before you shave. Follow these 3 simple steps to avoid razor burn outlined here. Gotta click on the article. Always tell a new barber how long it's been since your last haircut. Tailor your haircut to your face shape. Very important. Keep your size cropped if short. Keep your size cropped short if you're dealing with male pattern baldness. Only wash your hair 3 times a week. Pour salt on a stain immediately. Walnuts can get rid of wood scuffs. Fix your credit card magnetic strip with cellophane tape. I didn't know you could do that. Wrap some duct tape around an old gift card. Realize the effectiveness of a lingerie bag. Avoid drying your clothing at all costs. I want to read this one, actually. This is a good one. Dryers do nothing but destroy clothing. Your clothes will last longer, look nicer, and not shrink if you air dry them instead. That is a fact. After washing tennis shoes, tuck shoelaces into the dryer before drying. Kitchen hacks. Use your thumb to tell if your steak is cooked to temperature. You should know that by now. Eat chicken wings the right way. They have a video on how to eat chicken wings. It's a video of a guy sliding the bone out. I know exactly what he's doing because that's how I eat my wings. Buy a really expensive quality knife. Sharpen your knives with a ceramic mug. Bar hacks. I'm not getting to that because I don't drink and I don't advocate you drinking. If you want to figure out how to drink better, you can look that up yourself. We're sober-minded over here. dmarge.com. Let's see. Life hacks for men. Life hacks every man should know. How to Google like a winner. What to do with a shaving cut. Hang suits. Oh, cedar wood hangers. We're talking about that again. This is iPhone stuff. How to break down the door. This is a good one. Shows you how to lean into it and kick the door open. Sometimes you got to kick a door open, man. Listen, you got kids, you got teenage boys. You may never know when you need to kick a door open. True story. My youngest son is 3. He has this thing with doors. He likes messing with locks. He likes opening them and closing them. So one day I was going to give him a bath, and my wife told me to wait for something. I don't know. I don't even remember. Again, these complex creatures, they don't know who they are from day to day. I love her to death, but it was something that she told me to wait for. And in my mind, it wasn't that important. I could have given him a bath. But for some reason, she needed me to not give him a bath and wait a few minutes so we could do something or the other. Who knows? But I didn't give him a bath. And when it was time to give him a bath, he had locked the door from the inside. He wasn't in the bathroom, but he locked the door. So I had to go get a screwdriver, take the doorknob off gently, because if the other side falls, you may not be able to actually unlock it. So I figured out with this lock you could if the doorknob fell, but I had to carefully make sure that the doorknob on the inside of the door didn't fall off so I could get it open. But getting back to the article, A part of me just wanted to kick it open. So you never know if you got boys when you might need to kick open a door. Same life hack: walnuts get rid of wood scuffs. Fold your garments, don't hang them. Yep. Pour salt into a stain. Oh, they're regurgitating. Chew gum when cutting onions to avoid tears. Ironing without an iron. It's a dryer. I'm pretty sure this is the throw a. Oh no. So what I do is I'll wet a towel, wring it out so it's damp, and throw my wrinkled clothes into the dryer on low. That buffs out the wrinkles. But they're talking about throwing ice cubes in the dryer. That's interesting. Never heard it. Saving a phone if it's water damage. How to know what size your fuel cap is on in your car. You should already know that. It's not a life hack. I feel like these life hacks are not as powerful as they say. This one says, this is practicalintimacy.com. Sounds like it's written by a woman, just the name. Practical Intimacy. 23 powerful and unconventional life hacks for men you need to know. Will be the judge of that, ma'am. Come into your own authority. A man begins to mature when he takes responsibility for the conditioning he's received. Okay, I can agree with that. You don't need to do it alone. A lot of men think that real men have it all figured out on their own. That if he wants to live his purpose, have incredible relationships, find success in business, or do anything that matters to him, he needs to do it alone. It is seen as weak to seek out guidance and ask questions, because a real man will never admit that he doesn't have all the answers already. One of the biggest loads of crap you'll ever hear. I agree. There's more, but I won't read it, because that's why we have the nuclear dad. We are supporting each other, so we already know that we don't do it alone. Define success on your terms. Sex, money, freedom, power. Yeah, definitely define it on your terms. That's why we are developing a code. Get your ass to a men's circle. See? She gets it. The nuclear dad. Sitting around for a couple of hours with a bunch of dudes talking about vulnerable, S-H-I-T, doesn't really sound that awesome. Trust me, over the last decade, I've been doing men's work. I have asked myself plenty of times, what the blank am I doing here? That resistance is a natural part of the process of bringing your authentic, nervous, depressed, heartbroken self to the table. This could be a man. Interesting. Learn this dangerous skill. When I'm talking about being dangerous, listen, they listening to me. And this was written, I don't know when this was written, but I know what I'm talking about, guys. I did not research any of the stuff that I'm talking about unless I'm reading it while I'm talking. This is stuff that's in me. And it's in you too. You just may not know how to verbalize it. It's not scary. It's not some scary wilderness skill or badass ninja martial arts. It is a skill that will save your life, though. It'll have you form a life of, it'll save you from a life of mediocrity and settling for average. Because in a world that rarely encourages you or dares you to dream big or be bold and courageous, the most dangerous skill you ever learn is self-love. I would agree. Self-love is not some fluff, woo-woo nonsense. It is a defiant act of rebellion. Most of us were never taught how to truly be ourselves. What we learned instead was the expectations of culture, media, family, and friends. The narrow and restrictive list of shoulds which dictate our lives. We learn to abandon our wildest dreams in favor of fitting in and getting along. But true self-acceptance, self-confidence, and self-love gives you the ultimate superpower of freedom. The freedom to make your own choices and the freedom to live life and define yourself in your own terms. Self-love is a skill you'll never master. It's not a destination you'll fully arrive at. It's a practice, a forever practice. You'll be continually presented with opportunities to sharpen and hone the skill. Embrace those opportunities. They'll expose all of the ways in which you abandon yourself, judge yourself, and make yourself not good enough. You will continually face all of the dark, shadowy places of your psyche where your demons live. Make friends with those demons. They often go by the names of guilt, shame, fear, unworthiness, and abandonment. Welcome them. Get to know them. Because when you find the courage to love every single aspect of yourself, you set yourself free. And freedom is a rare commodity in this world. So be dangerous and love yourself like your life depends on it, because it totally does. This was written by a man. Okay, dude, I'm feeling this. I'm bookmarking this because this was dope. And yes, I agree. This last part, the danger skill, you already know. If you listen to all the shows up until now, you already know. It's about being dangerous, man. It's about breaking the mold, going against the current, and being a total effing renegade. Yes, gentlemen. That was Renegade by Sean Carter and Marshall Mathers, more popularly known as Jay-Z and Eminem. That's one of my favorite songs of all time. When that song came out, it was released September 11th, 2001, and we all know what that day was. During that time, I was a senior in high school. On that day, I remember it like it was yesterday. Watching the tragedy unfold on live television and being dismissed from school and walking home feeling scared and vulnerable and confused. It was the first time in my life where I've seen the streets totally empty. There were no cars, there were no buses, there was no people walking except for the school students going home. And my school wasn't close, so it was one of the longest walks of my life. It was very, very strange and very unsettling. But I digress. That song was powerful for me because, senior year in high school is the year where you transition from, late childhood to early young adulthood, pre-young adulthood, if you will. And people are going to college, people are going to trade school, people are going to the military. And me, I didn't know where I was going. I went from high school to the street. I was becoming a rapper on a semi-professional level. At least that was my attempt. Some people tell the story differently. Me, I loved it. But it was an interesting time because the words of that song kind of fueled my experience. Because I'm the only one of my father's sons that didn't join the military. So in some senses, I was a renegade. My dad didn't go, but his father was a military man. And I just remember the first time I heard it and learning the words, because I have a very good memory, like something about music, I learned the words to songs very fast. So second or third time I heard it, I knew all the words. But when he said, Jay-Z this is, I had to hustle, my back to the wall, ashy knuckles, pockets filled with a lot of lint, not a cent, I got a vent. A lot of innocent lives lost on the project bench. What you hollering? I gotta pay rent, bring dollars in. Powerful. And that's just back when music had substance. It may not have always been positive, but it was a bird's eye view look into the lives of people who lived a certain way that society may have deemed not good people. But some people do things for not the best reasons, but with the best intent, right? And I want to look up Renegade. The quick Google search says a person who deserts and betrays an organization, country, or set of principles. Next one is having treacherously changed allegiances. Now, Merriam-Webster defines it as a deserter from one's faith, cause, or allegiance to another. An individual who rejects lawful or conventional behavior. Now, I'm going to get into this quick article from careershifters.org, the renegade mindset and how to stay true to what matters to you. This is expert advice, how to develop the mindset you need to shift. In a world where the pressure to conform is all-consuming, how do you discover what you want and then maintain the strength of mind to carve out your own path? Natasha shares how to create the mindset shift you need to break the mold and stay on track for a career and life you love. He who knows himself is wise. He who triumphs over others has strength. He who triumphs over himself has great power. And that's a quote by Tao Te Ching. I don't know who he is, but he sounds like a very wise gentleman. I'm guessing ancient Chinese secrets. So if we do a quick search on the interwebs, let's see who he was. 506 BCE. Like I said, ancient Chinese secrets. Oh, that's not a person. That's from a book. The author is Lousy. No. I don't know Wikipedia give me all kind of different stuff. But Tao Te Ching provides the basis for the philosophical school of Taoism, which is an important pillar of Chinese thought. Okay. So I'm not gonna find out who the author is. It could have many authors. Whatever the case, let's go back to the article. A train station in a major city. 8:30 a.m. The train pulls in, the doors open, and there bursts from within an enormous surge of suited bodies, training rapids of gray and black. The power of such a surge is impossible to ignore. Whether you intend to or not, you're swept along with it. At this time of the morning, half an hour of sitting silently in a crowd of strangers, you don't question the direction of the flow, the movement of your legs, or even the chatter inside your own head. You're on autopilot, surrendering your journey to the stream of your fellow travelers. Should you wish to cut across the flow of people, or take a look out of the window, for example, or to interrupt the long-lost friend, you're up for a battle. And the same is life. It takes enormous commitment, self-awareness, and a good sense of mischief to interrupt the status quo. I call it the renegade mindset. It takes practice to build up and maintain, and it's essential if you're going to make a major change. The journey to true strength of mind and integrity is incredibly personal, and staying true to what you want and believe is really, really hard work. But this is your life, and it's time to take it back. Yes, it is. Your renegade is not my renegade. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. That is a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So what is this renegadery, and where will it take you? You get to say. Your renegade world may see you tracing the line of the Amazon in a canoe, binoculars in hand, fulfilling the dreams of your 6-year-old you, who you used to be. It may mean arriving at the office 2 hours early for your 9 to 5, dressed to kill, raking in cash for the skills you finally value instead of bumping along the bottom line of what you thought you might deserve. The renegade version of you may finally give time and attention to that passion project you've been putting off for so long, the nuclear dad. Going part-time at your day job to honor and nourish the other parts of you that need to be expressed. Facts. Side note, in 2021, I worked 2 days a week for an entire year to figure out what I wanted to do. Some people aren't at that, they don't have that advantage. Me, I use stimulus money to fund my lifestyle, i.e. bills, expenses, worked as little as possible, figured out as much as possible, and in 2021 or 2022, I'm executing. Renegade does not mean cynically denouncing everything normal and throwing away everything you work for to the wind as you sail off into obscure and teenage rebellious future. Renegade is ownership and self-expression, claiming your identity and your dreams as valid and real and giving them life outside your daydreams. Challenging everything you know to be true. Put down the pen someone else gave you. No one ever drafted a life worth living on borrowed ink. Woo! Put down the pen someone else gave you. No one ever drafted a life worth living on borrowed ink. Man, I could just skim through and read the quotes. I think I'm going to do that. Stop asking for permission. You should banish any thoughts of how you may appear to others. If you are distressed, start it over. You should banish any thoughts of how you may appear to others. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your own estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. Chase your tree frog. A ship in a harbor is safe, but that's not what a ship is built for. Unknown. You can't be what you can't see. Your outlook upon life, your estimate of yourself, your estimate of your value are largely colored by your environment. Your whole career will be modified, shaped, and molded by your surroundings, by the character of people with whom you come in contact with every day. Orson Swett Marden. Quit whining. Get real. Yesterday we obeyed kings and bent our necks before emperors. Today we kneel only to truth, follow only beauty, and obey only love. Khalil Gibran. Relax into the journey. If you want to make God laugh, says tell her your plans. That was written by a woman, obviously, Anne Lamott. I'm going to flip it around and say man makes plans and God laughs. How about that? Because we know God's a dude. This lady is a head coach, writer, and experienced designer for career shifters. When she's not working, you'll find her listening to neuroscience podcasts, learning pottery, and dreaming of her next adventure. Yeah, I'm not going to say nothing bad about that lady. I could, but I won't. Just with that God and her quote, but I won't. Last article, lifehack.org, ways to become unstoppable. Our highest potential is filled when we realize that we create our own destiny. We cannot expect to achieve our goals through others. Instead, we achieve our goals through our own actions. In this phenomenal book, The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, the protagonist Howard Rourke is confronted by Ellsworth Toohey. Mr. Rourke, we're alone here. Why don't you tell me what you think of me? In any words you wish, no one will hear us. For which Rourke replied, but I don't think of you. Damn, that's cold. This is the perfect response in dealing with people who add no value to your life. Once we can grasp this, we can achieve greatness. Greatness through our own efforts and creation without guilt. We can do this by the construction of a framework that makes us unstoppable. Here are 10 ways to become unstoppable. Be your own creator. This is tip number 1. Be your own creator. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Ralph Waldo Emerson, again. Tip number 2, no fear. In times of adversity and change, we really discover who we are and what we're made of. Howard Schultz. Tip number 3, be crazy and different. Your theory is crazy, but it's not crazy enough to be true. Niles Bohr. I don't know who that is. Tip number 4, put a dent in the universe. We're here to put a dent in the universe. Otherwise, why else even be here? Steve Jobs. Tip number 5, visualization. Change your thoughts and change your world. Norman Vincent Peale. Exercise and neurogenesis. Exercise is the miracle grow for the brain. Dr. John Ratney. Read. We become the books we read. Matthew Kelly. Focus and intensity. The question isn't who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. Ayn Rand. Tip number 9, map your mind. A bad system will beat a good person every time. W. Edwards Deming. Tip number 10, discover your purpose. Nothing ever goes away until it teaches us what we need to know. Pema Chodron. Chodron. Pema, P-E-M-A, Chodron. I like that quote, and I don't know her name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, so I spelled it out. But that was pretty dope. I liked it. I like this episode. I like where we went with this. I hope you liked it too. But, you know, we talk about being renegades. We talk about being dangerous. We talk about being unstoppable because that's what we are, man. We are all of these things. Dangerous, unstoppable renegades. And you have to get to the point where you realize maybe not everything in life is as good as you want it to be. Maybe some things are bad. But in the end, it's all about the good life, man. That's what we want. That's what we're working for. That's what we aspire to. That's what we will accomplish. But just give it time. Now, I want you to remember a couple things as we end this. I want you to remember to stay focused, to stay determined, to stay vigilant. I want you to remember your vision. I want you to remember your mission. I want you to stay the course. I want you to stay dangerous. And most of all, I want you to stay cool.